Welcome back to Sow, Grow and Cook. It's been a relatively dry few days here in Wales, so we've been able to get out on the land and get a few jobs done. Why don't you come and join me and see what we got up to this week?
One of the jobs we're doing this winter is measuring up so that we can repair and replace and create some raised beds in our vegetable patch. As you can see on this particular one, the edging is quite low. I've just really cobbled it together with some old fence posts and logs, and it's not very effective anymore. So we're going to use some slab wood that we got from our local community woodland, and we're going to build proper edgings around it so that we can retain the compost that we put into the beds, because currently everything's spilling over the edge onto the paths. It's not very effective, and this is a very wet area, and every winter the heavy rains can wash away the nutrients. So by creating these edged beds, we can fill it up with mulch and compost and hopefully retain all the nutrients so that we can grow good crops the following season. Meanwhile, in the top polytunnel, it's time to do some maintenance on the paths between each of the raised beds. Every winter, autumn and winter, we seem to get quite a lot of growth of weeds in the paths here. So I'm scraping them away with the spade. And instead of putting gravel on top, which was what was here when we arrived, I'm going to use some wood chip, which was gifted to us by our friendly neighborhood farmer who was doing some maintenance work around his land. So now I'm picking up the weeds that I scraped away with the spade, and I'll pop them into the compost heap so they can rot down. And hopefully the wood chip that we use will help keep the weeds down and just provide a really nice walking surface for the rest of the season. There's quite a few here. It's mainly little bits of clover and chickweed and grasses. There's a real range of things. Some self-seeded flowers and other bits and pieces. On the area behind the top polytunnel, we're just doing a big tidy up, and we're going to be dismantling the pallet fence that stretched from the end of the polytunnel to the edge of the stock-proof fence. And we're going to try something different this year, which we'll show you in just a moment. And here you can see I'm dragging up some willow brash that we've had lying in a great big pile since we had our perimeter stock fencing done about a year ago. Now, we were going to chip this brash, but since we were given a big pile of wood chip from our friendly neighborhood farmer, the pressure to make wood chip has reduced. So we thought, rather than burn it, we would create a little boundary fence with it. And I'll show you just what I'm talking about in a moment. So here we are creating our dead hedge. You can see lots of wooden poles sticking up and lots of branches going across. But let's talk a little bit more about dead hedges. So what exactly is a dead hedge? Well, as the name suggests, it's a hedge made out of dead materials, so no living plants. This is all waste material or brash from some of the willow trees that we had chopped down when we fixed our stock fencing in the other field. Now, although it's a dead hedge, it can create a really nice habitat for insects, birds, invertebrates. It also creates a windbreak for anything that you plant on the other side of it. It kind of becomes a vertical compost heap, which also doubles as a boundary fencing, and you can make it as big and sturdy or small and feeble as you want it to, depending on the materials you use. And it's kind of a nice sustainable way of using and reusing stuff that would otherwise get burnt as a waste product. So we've put in fence posts as such, which are basically part of the thicker branches of the brash, as well as a few second-hand fence posts we had lying around. And we're filling the gap in between with long branches. You could make it prettier by using softer, fresher branches and weaving it through the uprights, but these branches are quite brittle now, so we're just placing them in between, and you can press them down to make them quite dense, and as they rot down you can pile up new stuff on top, and as the uprights rot away you can replace the uprights as well. And it's also a nice, easy job to do on a dry winter's day. It's surprising how quickly a dead hedge takes shape. We did most of this in less than 24 hours. I think that's coming along really well. Just a little bit more pressing down to make it a bit denser, top up a few more bits, and hey presto, I think we'll be done. Thanks again for watching.